All right, good morning. It's a brisk 28 degrees outside. It's 52 degrees in here. And climbing. Because I got my little buddy heater going on here. And I got some water on the stove. And do some shaving. Got my little shave bowl. My wife thrifted this a long time ago. I think it's like an old mixing bowl, but it has a little thing where you can pour out the water, so that's kind of cool. I'll be doing a shave with some Pro Razzo. This is what I take with me if I'm going anywhere where I don't have a sink to like whip up whip up a shave. So I'll just put a little bit of this on my face and whip it up. Got my little travel brush. We'll be putting together. Ooh, this is kind of cool. If you guys haven't seen this, this is like a licorice toothpaste. If it sounds disgusting to you, I can't help you, but it's made in Italy and doesn't have any fluoride, and it's freaking awesome. Both of these products actually are made in Italy. For some reason, Italy is on the top of their game when it comes to like grooming products, but the tripod for my camera is sitting on my little mobile toilet, so I'll either use that Pro Razzo or I'll use something like this where it's like really small. Alright, so let's see what I get here. First off, I'm going to take off this. I already took off my long sleeves. I might have to take this off. It's starting to get toasty in here because of this crazy thing right here, man. This thing will, I mean, from the time that I started recording at 50 degrees, 52 degrees, now it's 54 degrees. So yeah, I'm probably gonna turn that guy off. It's just not cold enough. Although I think this week it is supposed to get really cold here in Ohio. So I'm not sure what blade I'm gonna use. I think I'm gonna use a Wilkinson sword. When I say blade, I mean razor. And usually in my shave kit, in this shave kit, I keep one of my old Gillettes. Now this is not an open comb, this is a closed comb, but it's still, this is actually kind of gross. It has like soap scum stuff on it. That just comes off with the toothbrush and some really hot water. You're not gonna be able to see it. You know, how do you say amateur without saying it? It's called recording on your iPhone. Alright, so while that water heats up, these just slide out. There's 10 of them in a package, and then when you open them and use a blade, when you're done with the blade, after maybe 2 or 3 shaves, or in this case probably 1, because I don't think I'm going to stay the night here. You can slide the old razor blade in the back. See, there's another little compartment right here underneath, so that's kind of neat. So we'll put the razor on there, and then here's the bottom. Be careful when you're doing this because it's razor sharp. This handle actually didn't come, I buy these on eBay. This handle came with my open comb, but I use my open comb more, and this is not my favorite handle, so I just swapped them all out. Got a little towel here. So, one thing I didn't do in my last video was show this super neat alum block, which is like if you cut yourself. Hopefully I don't cut myself today, but usually if it's been a while since I shaved, I will get myself, so it is possible. Okay, so we got razor, we got a brush, we got soap. Now we just need water. I'm gonna turn off the stove right here. I think the water's hot. I felt it a minute ago. I'm not a huge fan of super hot water. But it is nice to have when you're camping because you forget the stuff that you need, which is why we camp, right? That's why I do, because you kind of forget what you need. I guess what life is like without like a sink or something, right? So you kind of forget. I'm gonna have to take this off. It's getting too toasty in here, and I don't want to get soap on it. All right, so the first thing we'll do is get our face wet, stick the brush down in that water, let it kind of start soaking. Usually I'll do this with my shirt off, but my wife would be upset that you ladies out there watching, you know, all the ladies watching are getting that show and not her. So I don't want to give you that free show. You gotta pay for it. All right, so this stuff, what I'll do is I'll just take a little bit, kind of put it right there, right here. Take that brush. And this is sort of the difference between using a bowl to whip up your foam. Can't think of the word right now. I keep wanting to say batter. I think it's because I'm hungry this morning. Lather is the word. I am probably gonna have to put a real mirror here because the camera is not gonna be good enough. Here we go. So the mirror is down here, so I'm not gonna be looking at the camera. But anyway, usually you would take a bowl or something and whip up a lather in the bowl, or if the soap comes with a bowl, like Sterling Soap Company, that makes it easy. They do make like shave mugs and stuff, which I think are really cool, but they're also kind of small, so I don't know. But look how good this stuff lathers up. Look how good this stuff batters up. All right, now that we got a pretty good lather going, I think I'm just gonna call it batter. Why not? Now we can start shaving. So I have a 2006 Silverado, Chevy Silverado. A lot of miles on it. The Lord is taking care of me in this truck, and it's done me right. But I used to live in Washington State, and it rains every day there when I was stationed up there at McCord. So the whole back of my truck was pretty much unusable. So I put a capper on the back of it, and a lot of people picked on me because it looks a little dorky. But in the words of Forrest Gump, which I seem to be quoting more and more every day the older I get, pretty is as pretty does, right? Had somebody ask me the other day, what does that mean, pretty is as pretty does? And it never occurred to me that that is an old saying. But maybe people don't understand what it means. So let me tell you what it means, boy. It means she might be pretty, but if she doesn't do anything for you, she ain't that pretty. It also means maybe she ain't pretty, but if she's a heck of a cook, she knows how to take care of you in all the ways, is respectful to you and loves you and cares for your children and cooks for you and prays and tries to live a godly life, or if you're not religious, tries to live an ethical life. I don't really know how to separate ethics from God, because if there's no God, like, why wouldn't you just do whatever you want? I don't know. But anyway, pretty is as pretty does. If you got an ugly capper on the back of your truck, it might be ugly, but I think it's pretty because it does pretty awesome. It makes the whole back of my truck usable to me. I can put stuff back here. I can sleep back here. Let me tell you, all it takes, I used to live in California, in Northern California. All it takes is one night that you're sleeping in a tent where there's some sort of wild animal outside your tent, like a cat, or up in the north part of California where they got a lot of bears. You get a bear digging through your stuff and anywhere, even if it's not near your tent, you're going to start thinking, well, at least I did, maybe I should get some sort of hard shelter. So, sleep in the back of your truck, right? It's pretty cool. Got just this tiny little camper cabin kind of thing going on back here. And it's cool to know that you can go to sleep at night, crack a window. You got screens on the windows, so there's not going to be a bunch of bugs getting in here. I follow this homeless guy on YouTube, and he's always talking about the bugs. He's like, man, you think you're going to go live out in the wild? I did get myself racha. Is this focused? So this soap, oh yeah, pretty as this pretty does. That's one thing I love about this capper camp shell on the back of my truck is the functionality of it. So to me, it ends up being pretty because of how well it performs. If you've ever had a girlfriend or a wife that's lazy or useless or disrespectful or hooks up with your friends or any kind of stuff like that, well, it doesn't have to be your friends, hooks up with anybody other than you, it don't really matter how pretty she is. You know what I'm saying? I got really blessed with my wife because she's pretty and cool, which never happens. If you meet a girl like that, you better marry her as fast as possible. And keep in mind that you're going to have to cut down how cool she is by about a factor of 10, because as soon as they get married, no matter who the woman is, they're like, oh, all right, I can put my feet up a little bit. I've been trying to get married, and I wasn't sure if you were going to do it, and wasn't even sure if it was worth it to me. But now that I know we're in this for the long haul, I can't keep this lifestyle up. So they will kind of, which everybody's like that. Men are like that too. Might look at that shower one morning and be like, do I need a shower today? I'm tired. Then you go to bed and you haven't had a shower that day, and the wife's like, he's a lot cleaner than this when we were dating. Well, yeah. When you're dating, make sure you take care of all that stomach stuff in advance, you know what I'm saying? But when you're married, sometimes it's like, hey babe, tonight's not a good night because I got stomach issues. Or whatever, you know what I'm saying? All right, we're gonna do 2 passes because it's just been a while since I shaved, and I'm gonna be going out in the cold today, and I don't know what it is about the cold. You think you would want a beard, right? And it is nice to have a beard, but the problem is, I mean, it keeps like the cold wind off your face and stuff, but if this was like a end of the world type situation where you're like if you lived in Alaska or it was 30 below or something, maybe then I would want a beard. But it just gets gross so fast. And there's something about living in a first world situation. Maybe it's because I was in the military so long, but when you're in a really crappy situation, it's always kind of nice to just have like a nice fresh shave, you know. I'm like that. Like today, drink my coffee, go out there into the world, into the cold, and feel that brisk, cool air on my face and feel kind of clean. Does that sound weird? So, I'm hoping that the channel is gonna hit 500 subs soon. We're at about 350 right now, and I recently retired from the military. I'm going to school. I have a 2-year-old, so I don't have a ton of time to make content, but I have more than I did before. And people seem to like some of it, so I do get those hater comments, man. My wife's always like, don't address the haters. I'm like, all right. I have to just kind of remind myself that if I knew them in real life, we could have a conversation and I could learn from them and they could learn from me. But it's so easy to get on and comment some negative stuff. And you know what? That's fine, actually. I don't even have time to think about it. I just, every now and then I'll read through the comments and I'll be like, why are you so unhappy, man? Like, get out and live life. Or I'll think, why don't you upload a video if you're such an expert? But then I have to catch myself because that's not, you know, the last thing you would want is for someone posting a negative comment like, well, that's not how I do it. I do it like this. The last thing you would want is for them to get to zap some unhappiness out of you, because you know that's probably their goal. They see you happy and they see you living life and having a good time, and they think, I want to shed some shade onto this light. I want to throw some shade. I gotta dampen this guy's candle a little bit. And if you let it get to you, they win. Nothing would make them happier than to know that you read their comment and you were like, that hurts. So anyway, thanks for joining me for this shave. I totally forgot to bring aftershave on this trip, so that's not happening. But I am going to hit that spot with the Allen block. It's funny, the back of this truck is really not that big, but I still lose stuff back here, so. This is actually kind of a cool thing. It's like what boxers and stuff use. If you see them, in fact, that's why it has the boxer on the front, because they get cuts on their face, and this will just like cinch it up real quick. The last thing you want is to be out in the world and some sort of airborne pathogen or something gets inside one of your open cuts, which I only got one little tiny cut today, thank the Lord. I get these bumps on my face if I don't shave for like a week. Now, if I let it grow to a beard, I'll be fine. But you go through that itchy phase, and if you shave in the middle of the itchy phase, now you're asking for trouble, because if you have something like a feather blade, it'll just cut the top of those little mountains off. And that's what I did in the last shave video, and I was like, I'm not going to do that again. But these things last forever, by the way. You'll be tempted to buy more than one. Don't do that, because one of them will last you like 20 years or more. Just letting you know. You use it every single day for 10 years, and it looks the same as when you bought it. It's crazy. But anyway, yeah, channel content. I just constantly jot down ideas. I'd really like to, now I'm getting cold. I'd really like to test some knives and do some fun stuff. The problem is original content, right? So everybody out there, I follow a lot of people that they'll play music and they'll open a knife and show you the knife, and that'll be a short, and they'll get some subscribers out of that or whatever. Starting to get cold now, boys. I turned that heater off. That was a mistake. That's fine. But what I'd like to do is some theme stuff, right? Like I brought up the idea of knives of SOG, something like that. And maybe like an open tag where I could put some of the knives that I have that are like sort of Vietnam, Green Beret era type stuff. And then the cool thing about open tag is other people can be like, hey, I have some cool stuff that you don't have, right? I have a few different knives that are SOG knives, but I don't have like the SOG knife, like the main one, the 6-inch Bowie that everybody considers the SOG knife. I have a Recon Bowie. I have some Randalls. I have some other cool stuff. I won't tell you everything, but once we get that video going, that's one idea. But we're constantly coming up with ideas and writing them down, and this was an idea, right? Like, I do these little camping, I don't even know if it would be considered camping, but these little excursions. I don't have a life now where I can do much adventuring. Like I said, I got school and a 2-year-old, and I just can't get in the woods very often these days. But my wife is cool. When I say my wife lets me, I just mean she doesn't give me a hard time or look at me weird. But she lets me, like I'll go to like we have a lot of state parks and stuff, and go to a state park overnight and just kind of camping back in my truck, have some me time, meditate, watch some YouTube videos, right? Test out your gear. You'll hear this a lot on YouTube, but if you're not testing out your gear, you're just asking for trouble. And if you don't believe me, try it. Just try it. Just do one little tiny, you don't have to do a big family camping trip, right? Just go somewhere and camp overnight. Go to a truck stop and camp overnight in the back of your truck or in your car, or go to a state park and build a fire and have dinner. Make dinner for you or your family. Make some beef stew on a little Coleman stove. You won't believe what goes wrong. Your lighting situation. What's your lighting situation? Are you batteries? Are you fuel? Like petrol based? Do you have lantern? Is it propane? Do you have propane bottles? Do your propane bottles work? Do you have gas? Is the gas old? Do you have a lighter, right? I didn't bring a lighter in the back of the truck this time. I think I have a couple in this little chest that this stove is sitting on, but I'm telling you, things go wrong. One of the problems with this setup in this truck is it doesn't have a vent in the ceiling, which I've been thinking about doing for years, but it just gets so wet in here. Like, if your bed's not off the ground, no matter what, unless you're sleeping on a cot, which I don't really like doing, you're going to get some water around your bedding, and that's not fun. I don't like cots because the way this works is, let me show you. So, a cot would take me up so much that I would be sleeping level with the windows, and I don't really like that. I kind of like having this wall right here, this metal. Just in my brain, it works better. But I have this super thick foam that I cut into 3 pieces so that I can have like a sofa or a bed. And actually I have 6 pieces, so I can make the whole back a bed if my wife and kid want to sleep back here, which we haven't done in a really long time, but I'm hoping that I can get my daughter out on adventures. But anyway, that's my solution. But anyway, all that is just to say that if you're not testing out your gear, you don't really know if it works. And I think a lot of people, call me crazy, but I think a lot of people like that. They go, oh, I've got this gun, I've got this knife situation, I've got fire solutions, I've got this and that. And you know what? They have no idea if it works, but in their mind it works, and that's fine. It's kind of like fitness. People think like they buy all this gear, and they learn about all this survival stuff and growing things. And I'm guilty of this myself, but they get out there in the world and they're like, yeah, I'm prepared. And it's like, dude, one day and you would probably have a heart attack. Carrying around the gear. If you spent any time in the woods trying to carry all that crap. Anyway, I'm not going to go out down that tangent. All I'm saying is get out, test your stuff, make sure that you're not missing something. And people that actually test their stuff, you will notice in them a different level of humility. Because my dad used to say this all the time about life giving you humble pie, but every single time, and I mean every time, without exception, that I've ever gone on a trip in my life, whether it's flying somewhere for work, military deployment, camping in a state park overnight, camping in your backyard, anything, I learn from my own failures. I'll be like, oh, I didn't bring gloves. I didn't bring a hat that's good enough. I didn't bring enough layers. Or I brought too much layers. Or I don't know, I didn't bring enough socks. I don't have a way to keep my feet warm at night because they're too close to the tailgate. This heater stinks too bad, and we don't have a way to get airflow. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's always a problem. The bathroom solution, food, cleaning the food. How close do you park next to water? And then how that relates to bugs or wild animals or other people. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I think you get what I'm saying. But thanks for joining me. Oh yeah, let me talk about this real quick, because if I don't talk about it, people are going to be like, hey man, what are you carrying? This is a Model 19 Smith & Wesson that I got a few years ago. I had one just like it. It's a 4.5 inch 357 Magnum. I had one for a long time. It was a -3. I loved it. I carried it and used it and everything. And I had a buddy of mine that was, I'm not going to tell you the whole story. I ended up I didn't have that anymore. Okay? And I have to remember that YouTube is public, so it always made me kind of sad because I love that 4.5 inch 357 K-frame. And a couple years ago, Smith re-released like the new version, which is like the -9 or something like that. And I was actually on my way to buy a new bow. Me and my buddies, we were going to this archery shop to get new bows, and I hadn't had a bow in a few years. And I had kind of budgeted some money, and I got this email from my local projectile shop, and they were like, hey man, we got this Model 19. It's the new gen, the newest one. And I was like, well, I better go look at it. And I looked at it, and I was like, oh man, I'll do a video on it by itself, but it's a work of art. It has one of their screw-in barrels, so instead of like pinning the barrel, what they do is they have this tool where they can stick it in the end of the barrel. If you look at the barrel, it has like a sleeve. So there's a steel sleeve around it, and then that inside part is the barrel. And what they do is they actually stick this tool in there that grabs the rifling, and they unscrew the barrel if they need to replace it or work on it, and then screw it back in, and then the revolver looks the same. It's actually kind of a smart idea, but it ends up being like cool because you have a carbon steel frame, but you have a stainless barrel insert that's replaceable, so you can replace the barrel without messing with your sights and like re-bluing the gun and all that stuff. So I said that 3-letter word again, so YouTube is not gonna push this video to people's algorithms, but whatever. Isn't it funny that artificial intelligence is so powerful now that they can scan a whole video that's about like shaving in the back of your truck like a weirdo, and because you said a word like that, unless I can figure out a way to bleep it out during editing, they're gonna just be like not showing it to people. But that's fine. I'm getting more and more subs, but I'm thinking about doing a knife giveaway for 500 subs if I can get there, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, and then these rounds right here, my dad would be proud. These are Buffalo Bore hard cast bullets. Man, my dad is super into ballistics and bullets and stuff, and according to him, these things are just like a laser beam. They don't expand, they don't deform, they just punch through stuff. So anytime I go out in the wild somewhere, I'm always like, I'm gonna take some hard gas bullets. But anyway, I had that old 4.5-inch Model 19, and I always kind of wanted another one, and so I got this one. I haven't been super impressed because right away I had to fix like the front sight, and I had to fix like the cylinder was closing a little hard. Like, it's just same thing with knives, right? Like you have to kind of wear it in and lubricate it and kind of get the metal meshed together. And some of the stuff is warranty issues, but I just didn't want to send it off. I finally got another one, and it shoots super nice. Like, it's one of the most, I don't know, if you've ever shot like a 640 357 Magnum, which is a J-frame, I think I'm saying that right. It's like the solid steel version of the 642, but it's got a little bit of a longer barrel. But those things are actually really comfortable to shoot Magnum loads with. But when you get a K-frame, it's even more comfortable. And of course, the Buffalo Bore rounds are a lot different story, let me tell you. Whew. I've got an N frame that has a hard time with those rounds. But anyway, yeah, I wasn't super happy with the fit and finish. Like, they put the little mainspring screw that goes like right here. If you take the grip off, there's a mainspring adjustment screw. That was all like fouled up because somebody wasn't using the right grind screwdrivers. If you didn't know, gunsmithing screwdrivers are usually a different grind. Like, there's hollow grind, and then there's your regular screwdrivers that are like this. But if you look at most parts on revolvers and guns, the inside of the screw will be like this, kind of like on watches, like watchmaker screwdrivers. So if you've ever seen a screw that has like a bunch of like foul ups on the outside because the screwdriver's like skipping out because it's not the right screwdriver. So just in case you didn't know, a flathead is not just a flathead. Like, there are flatheads. You can go on Brownells and get like a gunsmithing bit kit or just screwdrivers designed for particular guns. And the screwdrivers, like a flathead, it will have the flathead will go like this instead of a taper. And that way you can get it deeper into that screw, and you actually is more effective as a screwdriver, and it doesn't mark up the finish on the outside of the screw. But somebody had used a regular screwdriver to put that mainspring screw in, just stuff like that. When you could tell that a lot of these companies like Case Knives or Smith & Wesson, they have quality control issues, and it's really something that is actually kind of a problem globally, and definitely with our country and in the world of craftsmen. People that used to just be amazing craftsmen have died and gone away, and the new generation is they just don't have the same they don't have the same quality standards. One of my least favorite philosophies of our current society is that everyone is replaceable. And it's true to a sense. Like, a lot of jobs, if you drop dead, they're going to find somebody else. They're going to manage. They're going to get by. But the problem with this mentality of paying people less to pay more to the shareholders so that the company's bottom line increases continually over time, people are less motivated to become craftsmen. And you end up with everybody's replaceable. So Tim has a heart attack at 75, and that's okay. We can do without him. Does anybody else know how to use this belt sander or this finisher or this lathe or whatever? Then so-and-so dies, and then so-and-so retires, and they're trying to train up these new people, but I don't know. I think we've lost too many people that we thought were replaceable that were not replaceable, or not readily or easily replaceable. You might be able to train them on things, but there's a difference between training you on a machine, a computer, or some sort of metalworking machine, some sort of tradescraft tool, machine, whatever you want to call it. There's a difference in training somebody on that and then the mentality that they bring to learning, or as a man or as a woman in their life, where they came from generationally. So, the baby boomers, they have a lot of problems, right? But they still have more of that hard internal core of their parents, the greatest generation, than we do. So there were the people that were like the hippies that were out there making great music and art. And then there were the people that got the tradesman jobs, but we're losing a lot of them. And the generation before them, the further we get from the greatest generation, in my opinion, the further we get away from good quality control and good craftsmen. So all that to say, I have, on a positive note, seen sort of an uptick in smaller beer companies, smaller knife manufacturers, smaller artisan toiletry type stuff, camping gear. It does seem like maybe my generation, which I hate to admit it, was kind of just like, but the next generation is starting to reject some of these, like being on your phone all the time and like relying on the internet for everything. I've seen a lot of pipe smokers that are like, 19, 20, 23 years old, and they're sharpening knives on YouTube. They're camping. They're not getting jobs. They're just like, why do I want a 9-to-5 job for 40 years? So I can roll over and die before I get to spend any of my retirement money. And I got a catheter in the end of my urethra. What kind of fun retirement is that? I'm going to live my life while I'm young. And to be honest with you, there's nothing on earth really more valuable money-wise than youth and health. So, and they got a point to that. So, but anyway, I think I've rambled enough. I'll leave you on a positive note. Some of the new up-and-coming companies I've been impressed with. Yeah. A perfect example would be like Great Eastern Cutlery, right? I think they started in 2006. I could be wrong about that. But I'm talking about like in the last couple years, since COVID, there have been knife manufacturers that are using like awesome steel, and they're charging way less money, and they're digging into heat treatments, and they're actually people who are users of knives that are starting to build knives. So that's always been a problem in the engineering world, is you have the engineers that know the theory, and then you have people in the field that use the equipment, that use the items, and they're like, hey, this isn't working, hey, this is broke, hey, can you do this, can you change this? And then the engineers' egos are bruised, and they're like, look, we are the engineers, we know what we're doing with metal and with this, I'm a knife maker, or I'm a knife engineer or designer. And this happens all across the STEM community, but you'll get people that have credentials, and they just think they're awesome, and they are to a degree. But if you can take a person with real world practical knowledge who goes out and thumps on their knives all day, and get them some expertise in the world, kind of cross over in engineering, which is something that YouTube is helping us with in this world. You can really make a lethal combination of a knife maker or any trade craft, right? If you can get some of those real world people that have practical use, some book knowledge, now we're talking about some serious products coming out. And if we can kind of couple that with quality control, you end up with the society we have now with reviews and online reviews, and it's faster feedback to the company, and the company can't just blow them off because everybody sees that review and says, oh yeah, that's a good point, I don't know if I want to buy that, right? So they can't ignore it. So I do think that we're headed into some positive times when it comes to research, development, and the knife world. I'm excited. I love the retro stuff, but it is cool to see the younger people learning the trade, learning the science. My buddy Aaron always says the smartest stuff, and one time he said something about how college is going to be obsolete in a couple of years because of YouTube, and it's totally true. This was a few years ago he said that. I watch YouTube a lot for college. Like, my college is like, watch this YouTube video, and I'm like, oh, it's Jordan Peterson talking about Sigmund Freud, right? Or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So you don't really need the credentials to have the knowledge. You can go watch the videos. You can go read the books. You can go learn for yourself and be awesome. But anyway, glory to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I thank God for giving me this opportunity. And while I'm still a little bit, I still have some youth and health left to get out here and kind of do these things. But thanks for watching, and let's meet up again next time. Since you've stayed here this long on the video, I'll tell you what I'm thinking about giving away. I got a really cool Rough Rider bow trapper the other day. It's carbon steel. I might not give it away because the other day I saw on YouTube somebody was giving one away for subscribers. So I don't know if I want to give away the same knife, but let me know if you think that would be a cool knife. Or maybe we should do like a case or something a little bit more expensive. Have you heard of Rosecraft knives? Is that what it's called? It's like an American company down south, but they make them in China. But man, these things look freaking awesome. I think it's Rosecraft. I'm thinking about getting one of those maybe. They're kind of expensive, but Buck Knives sent me an email the other day, and they were like, hey, you can get a buck 110 in Magna Cut. And I was like, ugh. And I think it was like $172. It's a limited run. And you can't even find it on their website. You have to get the email. But it's just, I don't know if I want to spend that much money. Like, there's so many, I mean, Spyderco makes Magna Cut, right? I love Buck Knives, but, and I don't think it has brass either. I think it's nickel silver, so it's going to be lighter weight too. I love brass, but it gets heavy. But, yeah, my Oris cup. What's up? If you're a watch guy, you know what Oris is. And yes, you can pump it up with the gas on. Now we're cranking. Let's see, it's gonna go out. It might not. See, now it's gonna get warm enough to where it'll stay on. Anyway, whether I'm doing it wrong or if I forgot to pump it up or something like that, this is why you get out here and look like an idiot. I mean, hopefully you're not videoing it so nobody knows. Like me, I'm videoing it, showing you like, there's 15 people on the other end of this going, oh, you could have done this. Oh, you should have done that. My point is that if you get out and test your gear, you'll learn. You'll learn your equipment. But I put a bunch of pumps in this thing today, so I don't know. Maybe it's running low on gas. But the point is that when it's cold, it acts weird. But anyway, I'll see you guys later. And that's about enough talking for me, man. It's like an hour-long video. But I love these hour-long videos. I'm gonna go dump this out. Ugh. And then brush the teeth with the licorice toothpaste. Lighters will get up and walk away from you, right? This is an old Zippo, but what made me think of it was brass. So, I told you I forgot a flame, and so I had to get out, go to the cab of my truck. But I wanted to talk to you real quick about these Coleman stoves or anything that uses liquid fuel that has to be heated and vaporized to burn. One of the biggest frustrations with these camp stoves is, unless you're using propane, of course, which is already vaporized when you open it, when you open the valve, until you get the element a little bit hot, you can light matches, you can hold a lighter there and open up and have as much gas flowing as you want. It's not going to stay lit. So what happens is you'll go through like 50 matches when you're lighting your Coleman stove. Until those little stay lit for a little bit, go out, stay lit for a little bit, go out. Meanwhile, you're like flicking these matches all over the forest, all over the inside of your Coleman stove. But until it gets warm enough to vaporize that fuel, it's not going to stay lit. So one little trick that I have is this hemp rope. You can just buy this. It's like it's for smoking. To be honest with you, I think the weed community uses this a lot, and we've kind of benefited from them in the smoking world quite a bit because of their technology. I mean, just to be honest with you, like they've kind of normalized a lot of them. Like you see smoke shops on every corner now. You go in there, you're like, smoke shop? What do you got? And they're like, oh, I got, it's just a head shop. But I mean, you know, they'll still have like Sir Walter Raleigh or Velvet tobacco or something like that. But anyway, this stuff is cool because it's just basically, and this is how I use it on a pipe too. But so you don't have to burn through all your fluid or your wick on your Zippo or whatever lighter you're using. So what you do is you just light it. Now my lighter's done, right? So I put this on the element while I'm turning on the gas. Let's see if it does it. Let's see if I can demonstrate real time. You're not gonna be able to see it. It's probably already hot enough. But you can, oh yeah, this is gonna work. Let me show you. I'm gonna flip the camera around.